Hi everyone, this is Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Poll Everywhere. So when you go to polleverywhere.com, this is the first page that will come up, and as you scroll down, there's actually a lot of quite useful information on this page. I'm not going to get too into it, but you don't even need to sign in to this to get to see sorts of useful information. They're trying to sell you on the product, obviously, but again, lots of really useful things on here. So when you log in, you will be taken to this page in which your polls will come up. This is kind of your dashboard where you start. So I'm going to go first to the poll that I did just as a trial before I had my students do the poll. And then we are going to learn how to make one. So first, this is your dashboard of each specific question. You saw I clicked in the middle of the screen. Here is the dashboard. So up here, you have polls, participants, and reports. I'm not going to be going into participants or reports because that is one of the upgrades that you would need to have, and that would be $50 for a year to have that. So I'm just in polls right now. And where I am is I am analyzing one of the questions. So I was the only one that answered this question under this name. I have a different one for my school account for my kids. So I asked the question, do you want more time to practice these math problems? Yes, with the teacher, yes, on my own, or no. So you can have real-time responses, which means that once the students text within 2 seconds, it will pop up on your screen. Now, one thing that I did not like about this was they could see if it was up to 100% or what other kids were saying. So they may have been kind of tricked or feeling like they were needing to answer a certain way to be like their peers. So I got smart and I looked around and I was like, oh, this is great. I can change it so they can just answer. And I locked this screen on my projector so they couldn't see what the answers were. But then after I locked this screen, I froze it here on my projector. I could still change this screen, my laptop screen. And then I changed it so I could see what it was changing to. So in this particular case, my students, yes, still wanted to practice on their own. There were a few that didn't, a few that wanted to practice with me. So I was able to let them practice on their own and go around and check in with some of the ones to see who wanted to practice with the teacher, and I helped them through a couple. So this is very basic. I prefer to use the basic one just to start out. Once you are feeling comfortable with it, you can go into the visual settings, which were over here. You can add a color scheme, you can change the chart, you can change the font, you can change a lot of things, add a title, change how to respond, give it a background, all those good things. I'm going to keep it simple for today. So, when you create the question before you make it go live, you can change over here how to configure the question. You can change how people respond. One thing you can do is have students go to a website, which is what I did for most of my students. And so this is what they were doing. So, as soon as I posted a question, it came up here. So, the link that they would follow would come up with the question, and then they would be able to click a response. Then, they could also do a text message, or they can have a keyword. I didn't really play around with that too much with my kids, because it is just a code as opposed to a letter ABC. I preferred ABC, a lot less harder to mess that up. So, the next thing that you can do is you can go into response settings. You can say how many times people can respond, if they're anonymous, if they can change their answer or not change their answer, if you don't want to send a reply message back, or if you do want to reply, say thank you for responding. In order to activate this poll, you need to hover over this button and hit activate, which is what I accidentally clicked earlier. So now, if I go in here, how people can respond under the website that I had talked about before, this is what my students saw. So they clicked on this and they were able to do it. You can also lock and unlock it. You can unlock it at a specific time and say, okay, go ahead. And you can lock it after a certain amount of time. Say you have 5 minutes to answer this question. Or if you're doing a larger project where you go through groups, you can say, you need to do this each time I meet with you or as a specific center. And then you can set it so it'll lock after a certain amount of time. Then when you go into here, you can test your question. So what I am going to do right now is I'm going to pick no. And that is how quickly it changes over to the next one. You can also practice with a text message. So they can respond with A, B, or C to respond. They first send the code down here. Click send. And then they will get a reply saying they've replied. And then you can type in a letter to respond, hit send, and then it would come up. But I already voted, so that's why I cannot. Under present, this is some information on how to present. You can click the full screen button, or you can download the presenter app. So if I would make it full screen, it would look just like this. So everyone could see. I could still change the way it's viewed, so it would be nice and big for the kids in the back of the room to see. And then to get out of here, just hit escape. So now, let's talk about how to create a question or a survey. Click the plus button up top, and that is how you can make a question. My question is going to be, do you see yourself using Pull Everywhere in your classroom? So then, you can make it multiple choice, open-ended, question and answer, a ranking question, 1, 2, 3, or you can have an image. I am choosing to leave it open-ended because I would like to say also, where do you picture yourself using Pull Everywhere? Okay. Now, your audience can respond with anything. This is tricky because you want to be able to manage what the students are saying. You don't want them to be able to put things up there that are inappropriate. So what I would do for this is I would have my students first be able to put their name, and this is what I did, and I hid it from them so they could not see what was being posted. If I got something that was a little off topic or just like an unexpected answer, which I did not when I was using it, it would not be up there for the entire class to see. So I'm going to say that we're just going to do a text wall. Scroll down. You can add another question, or you can go ahead and create. So the tutorial on creating questions was pretty useful, but I think this is pretty user-friendly in general. It took me playing around with it for 3 or 4 minutes to really figure it out. And a quote that I have heard, if a teacher is going to use a tool in their classroom, they have to be able to figure out the point and the purpose of using the tool. They have to play around and figure out how to use it, and then they have to be able to try it out for themselves in under 20 minutes. Okay, so I have created my question. And now, like I was talking about before, you can go in, activate the poll, activate the question. You can change how it's viewed. You can lock it. So let's change how people can respond. Let's instead say that I don't want them to respond through a text message, that I would rather have them just respond through a website. Let's test how people respond. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put my name and I say, I picture myself using Pull Everywhere on review days. This would in order to integrate it into my classroom, that's when I would see myself using it. So once I hit submit, it's going to send a response, and there it is. It'll say when, there's my name, and that's how my response works. Okay? So overall, I would say that Poll Everywhere is a really great resource. I'm hopefully going to try to integrate it into my lessons more. My kids loved it. They were super excited. They were disappointed when it was over. I was seeing all the kids respond, even the kids who are shy, don't like to raise their hand. They knew that it wasn't going to be up for everyone to see and up to, class ridicule or criticisms from the other kids. So they were really willing to put their information and their ideas out there. I haven't decided. I probably will not this year upgrade to premium. I'll see if I can actually integrate it into my room in a way that's worthwhile. And I highly doubt I would upgrade to premium next year, but I could really see the benefits from using it in some of the classrooms where you have kids who have cell phones all the time. My fourth grade